Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I'm excited to share with you a first look at the 2nd Marine Division, a new American division available in the upcoming LANDJUT DLC. Let's jump on in. Just to note, what you see today is a work in progress and therefore subject to change. We're going to go through all of the units and put together a quick deck. Apologies for not doing this sooner, as I have been unwell, so I am sort of catching up on what we have access to here. So starting off in the logistics tab, we have the LAV L, 500 supply per unit, 12 on a card. They do have a decent amount of armor, so 2 front, 1 side armor, and they're very quick, so pretty fast, nimble supply vehicle, but the 500 supply is off-putting. That being said, it is the only smaller ground-based land supply that you're going to have access to in this division. Otherwise, you're reliant on the CH-46E supply helicopter, which has 1,000 supply. You get 45 points, 6 on a card. It's not too fast, 195 km/h speed. There's also the CH-53, which is very cool. This has 2,000 supply. You got 245 km/h speed as well, so much faster. I think I would definitely prefer this over the CH-46 if I'm going to be using a helicopter in this division. Then we got the Amtrak, the AAVC-7A1. So this is a armored command for 50 points, 2 front, 1 side armor. There's no smoke on this thing, unfortunately, so it's going to be a pretty easy target to kill. For 65 km/h speed on road, off road, and 75 km/h on road, it could be used in a pinch. I don't think there's many maps where like having an amphibious CV is absolutely vital. So yeah, maybe on a map like Chemical, it could be useful to get across the river in places that aren't contested, so you can get into a sector to contest it without having to expose yourself to enemy fire. But regardless, we have the Humvee CP here. You get 3 on a card for 90 points, which is nice. It's 100 km/h on road speed, so nice and fast, and that will be a very useful one. It's also got 2 veterancy, and I'm pretty sure veterancy helps command vehicles capture sectors faster. There's also the option to bring in the LAV-C, which is the command variant of the LAV, 85 km/h off-road, 100 km/h on-road, decently armoured. I say decently, I mean 2 front armour is better than nothing, I suppose. But yeah, fast, armoured, pretty good actually, but only 2 on a card. Then we have this thing, the LARC 60 cargo. Crazy. 10,000 supply. It's like a mobile FOB. 50 km/h off-road, 90 km/h on-road. That thing is mega fast for how big it is. That's crazy. It's resolute as well. Not sure that's too helpful. It doesn't have any armor. 10 health. It's just literally a mobile FOB. It's crazy. That's just wild. You get 2 of those as well on a card. Or sorry, 2 total, 1 on each card. Alright, moving on to the infantry tab. We have ourselves a 50 cal. This 50 cal can target helicopters. It's got 1,225 meter range versus helicopters, so that's handy. It is also resolute, which is kind of nice. And then we've also got a 40mm grenade launcher with resolute trait as well. I'm pretty sure it looks like all of the Marines have the resolute trait, so that's cool. We got the USMC Assaultmen. These guys have the SMAW, and they have a HE munition for it. So they've got 2 SMAWs. One's going to have 8 rounds with 19 penetration at 675 meter range. 60% accuracy is pretty good. And then the SMAW with HE rounds is 0.83 damage. That's not that much, but it is certainly an interesting unit that I would definitely like to try out. In terms of transports, these guys get Humvees. The Assaultmen, they're on Amtraks if they want them, but otherwise M35s. Let's have a quick look at the Amtrak here. So this one does get a smoke launcher. It gets the grenade launcher MG combo in that little turret. So I think this is actually going to be a really decent support unit for helping against enemy infantry. Then we have the USMC gunners, so the Marine gunners. These guys have 5 M16s, 2 M60s, and the M72 Law. For 45 points, I don't know if they seem a bit overpriced to me, but it might be because they just are resolute as well. Then we got the Marine Leader, so a 3-man squad with smoke grenade. It's not too bad. I think I prefer squads that have higher strength, but at least these guys have smoke for 40 points. There's actually 4 cards available of these. That's crazy. You get the Humvee, there's the USMC Amtrak again, and then you got the UH-1N, so Huey, and then we got the Huey with the Hydra rockets. Okay, that's going to be kind of useful. It's a 95-point rocket helicopter with 10% ECM and 8 health. The ECM is really nice there, actually, for 95 points, and it's resolute, so it's going to not have so much dispersion on its rockets if it comes under fire from a couple of man-pads. That's going to be nice. Yeah, and it comes at 2 vet because the leader's 2 vet. And moving on to the Aero Riflemen. These guys are an 8-man squad, 6 M16s, 2 M249s. So we got the M72 Lord there as well for 50 points. So this is a bit more like it over the gunners. You know, having like 2 machine guns. So I think the M60 may be slightly better. Yeah, but I think this is like the chunkiness of the squad is important as well. Having the numbers there is kind of important. Now these have to be brought in with a helicopter, so either the Huey or the C9. Then we got the M35 transport for the USMC Rifleman, 13 strength squad, very nice. 3 MGs, which are M249s, and 10 M16s with the M72 Law. So a pretty chunky squad. I like it. Kind of wish the AT was a bit stronger, like AT4s or something would be nice, but M72s are fine. And then we got the one with the AT4. So there you go. There is one squad with those. I spoke too soon. 13 strength, AT4, really nice combo. This is a fantastic infantry squad for 80 points with the resolute trait. Love it. Really nice. M35 and Amtrak are your options for those guys, which is perfect as well. Then we got the Rifleman with a Dragon. So same loadout again, but switching up to the Dragon for your AT. Gives you that 1,250 meter range with 60% accuracy. M35 and Amtrak again as transports. And there's the Engineer Leader. Look at that, 12-man squad. Tasty. A 2 vet resolute shock trait leader. Yeah, that's nice. Very solid. Definitely going to be hard to kill. And M72 there to help defend themselves as well. Then there's the Engineers, so 10-man squad, 9 rifles, the M60 machine gun with a satchel, resolute shock, and then we have the TOW2s, and they have 3 cards of these. So 3 cards of 3 is a lot of TOW2s, 25 penetration apiece with 2,625 in a range and 70% accuracy. That's pretty nice. Like the base 1 vet there is very, very handy. This is going to be a really nice squad, especially with the resolute trait as well, which is going to help them take less suppression. Because for those of you who don't know, the resolute trait literally is just that. It gives them sort of a suppression resistance. Let's move on to the arty tab. All right, 81 mm mortar. These potentially could become more useful with the artillery rework for HE, but mostly going to be used for smoke. And I think still in most cases you're going to be wanting to bring mobile like artillery, particularly like in this case the mortar carrier LAV. So yeah, this is certainly going to be more useful than the one on the ground, even though this is cheaper. But when you're like buying them in, they're kind of only 10 points cheaper because you're still paying for the transport, if you see what I mean. So the LAV, whilst it's got armor, it moves probably faster. You know, it's just more useful to have around. You're only paying technically 10 more points. Yes, you're going to sell the Humvee, but it's more when you're buying it in that it matters. Right, next up we got the 155, and you actually get quite a lot of these. There's 4 cards available, 2 on each card. You've got the 25k range with 3.1 HE. These are actually not bad. I think this is kind of nice. You could definitely set up some good batteries with these. As long as you're sort of making sure that you micro the movement, you can select all of your guns and transports and then just right-click a transport and it will load all of the artillery into a transport that's nearby them. So if you use that to great effect here, you can really set up some nice batteries. Then we got the Catfay. So the Catfay is joining us, 155 points. It does have smoke to keep itself safe if it gets caught out, because the range on it's going to be super low. Yeah, so got the armor of an Amtrak, got the speed of an Amtrak, but you got 1,750 meter range on the Catfay, but good damage, 3.37 damage. The dispersion on this is going to be really interesting to have a look at, and it is thermobaric, so it's not going to do too much damage against vehicles, if any. It's really going to be there to clear out infantry, which is what it was designed for, but alas, a very interesting artillery piece. Then we have the USMC M109, which has the 155 built in, so you're losing a little bit of range, but it's basically the same sort of stats as this thing. You've got 4 rate of fire, salvo length of 4, range is shorter, but the HE is the same. So yeah, standard stuff. Then we got the M110A2, which has that extra punch with 4.5 HE, 25 kilometer range. You definitely want to make sure you're using corrected shot with these to make sure they get as accurate as possible. That basically the way you get corrected shot is you have a recon unit, it has a radius around it that it provides corrected shot, so that's important. All right, moving on to the tank tab, we have the Humvee tow, so we get tow 2s on a Humvee, 2,600 meter range again, 70% accuracy, nice and fast. They do have good stealth, which is probably the most important stat to look at here for these Jeep with the HGMs, because it means they can basically fire an HGM without being spotted by a tank, and before the tank then spots them, because it'll be the second time they fire that they get spotted most of the time. Like unless the enemy has a recon nearby or something like that. Anyway, moving on, we have the LAV with the tow 2. Now this is what I was talking about with the difference. So mediocre stealth means as soon as it fires, it's going to reveal itself, and this isn't strong enough to really tank a shot from an enemy tank. So you've only got 2 front armor and then you've got 8 health, so this thing is going to die pretty easy. I mean, this is going to die to pretty much 1 shot as well, but at least it gets a shot on target first, which will make the enemy have less cohesion. I mean, even if you miss, it's still going to cause cohesion loss most of the time. But yeah, moving on, you have the M60s. So Leader M60 here, which is the leader version of the M60A1. So we'll just have a look at this. So 12 front armor, 6 side armor, 3 rear, 2 top, 17 penetration at 1,925 meter range with 60% accuracy. It's okay, especially since it has a resolute trait. I really like that. And then smoke launcher, of course, is super important for those tank engagements. It's not too fast, so you're going to have to be quite deliberate with how you use these, as they will not be able to maneuver out of trouble too quickly. You can upgrade to the M60 Era, which has the explosive reactive armor. That's what the ERA stands for. And then that's going to give extra health. So we're going up from 10 to 11 health. And we're actually upgrading the gun here, which I assume is, yeah, looks like a technically an ammo upgrade more than an actual gun upgrade. Pushes the AP to 23, which at 1,925 meter range is pretty scary for sure. So nothing to scoff at, and will certainly be effective when it's in range, but obviously is outranged by a considerable amount of tanks, particularly if you consider that Soviet tanks with like the Bastion HGM have 2,800 meter range. That's almost 1,000 meters more than this has. So you're going to have to use cover and path well to get this into range to do the damage. It's going to be super important. Then we have the Recon. So first of all, the Lav Muse. I like these vehicles. They're really interesting. Like, it's something that wouldn't have to be included in a game like this, but the fact you have all these like extra traits and ways to use these units is really interesting. I like it a lot. And I think they are particularly useful in larger team games where you've got sort of areas to cover on the sides of maps, like rocks, for example, where you've got that entire like area of the map that has no command points, but people still use to flank. Like there's like the forested, hilly, like cliff part. So yeah, these ones where they have like SIGINT are really, really useful. And in this case, this lav has a lot of traits. We've got SIGINT trait, we've got Resolute, we've got Amphibious trait, of course, because it can go through water. Then we've got Smoke Launcher, and then Jammer. Jammer plus SIGINT is such a nice combination because Jammer prevents GSR activation, so it makes certain recon units less effective. It also cancels artillery correction. And then you've got SIGINT, which allows you to sort of find enemy forces within a radius around the unit. Then we got the Scout Snipers. 3-man squad with a couple of rifles. We got the M40 and we got M1. Is that a Garand with a scope on it? It is. So, Resolute trait, Sniper. Sniper trait is nice because it gives the extra level of stealth. That's like way more important than the damage boost. Like the damage boost is great, but usually you're keeping these on whole fire so they aren't revealing their location. So yeah, sniper trait is fantastic for the stealth for sure. Transport wise, Humvees with good optics and a machine gun, nice. Humvee with good optics and grenade launcher, I like that a lot. Very useful indeed for killing enemy infantry at range. And then we've got the option of the Huey and the Huey with the rockets. And we got a recon squad. Oh, nice recon squad actually. 4-man team with an AT4. I like that a lot. Can also be brought in with the Humvee with the grenade launcher. Same options as before overall. But yeah, the squad itself is very, very nice with the AT4. 17 penetration in a recon squad is super nice. Then we got the LAI scouts, which come in with a lav. So a great way to get some 20mm action going, or 25mm technically, with the Bushmaster. Yeah, you bring this in for the lav. That would be pretty much the role of this squad, because the squad itself is not that great. It's a 40-man good optics with Resolute. So I guess what you do is just drop the recon squad into a place that you need to cover, put them on whole fire, and then go run some stuff down with the lav itself using that Bushmaster cannon, which is yeah, pretty nice vehicle indeed. Like good optics, allows it to spot stuff. Bushmaster cannon's nice and reliable. Well, sometimes, most of the time. All right, moving on. We got the Jeep. Cool looking Jeep, M15 1A2, 50 cal and an M60 on it, and it can either be brought without a transport. There's also, oh, actually that's important to know. It has special forces, so they take less suppression and deal more damage. I think they also take slightly less damage. So this actually can potentially be useful for running down enemy infantry, but you can't bring it in with a Sea Stallion, which is, yeah, a choice. Probably not one you probably want to use a lot, but cool that it's an option, I suppose. Right, Force Recon, 3 M16s, 2 M249s, M40, Sniper with the M72A3 Law. You got Special Forces Shock Trait, looking pretty good actually as a recon squad. Can be brought in with a Humvee or one of the Hueys, including the rockets there. So this is a nice combo. And we've got a Scout version. It comes with 2 50 cals mounted on the side with 14 rockets. Nice. Good optics, or very good optics I should say. I love the helicopter options here, like super nice. And then we got the OV-10 Bronco. Yeah, actually super cool. 120 points. It's got 4 machine guns, which aren't going to do a lot of damage. But it's got some Zunis, the 127mm rockets on the bottom there. which have a decent amount of damage. And then you've also got 2 AIM-9Ls on the wings. So a decent capability to shoot down helicopters with this thing, whilst also providing good optics, good air optics. So that's, yeah, an interesting recon aircraft that will be super fun to use. It will obviously get shot down very easily by enemy AA and enemy aircraft, but in a pinch when people are pushing like deep in your lines, this is going to help you spot those forces and kill them, and kill helicopters as well. Then we have AA, so Stingers and IHawk. That's your AA to have, apparently. Pretty simple stuff. These guys have Resolute trait, which is great though, and then the IHawk does as well. So yeah, I like Resolute on these kinds of units because they're often going to be catching strays from artillery and stuff, and that's going to be lowering your cohesion, which is then lowering the accuracy, and just in general you want to maintain the accuracy on these things as much as possible. Moving on to the helis, we have Super Cobras. Very cool. So one with rockets. These Super Cobras, they have 15% ECM, 280 km/h speed, and Resolute trait. But yeah, this one's set up with the Hydra rockets. We got one with air-to-air, so it's got the AIM-9L sidewinders, and then the rockets there. I think did I say that these were Stingers? Sidewinders. Anyway, nice air-to-air helicopter. Very cool. Then we've got the AT version, which comes with the Hellfires and some rockets. So 8 Hellfires, 70% accurate, and they are semi-active in this case. We don't have fire and forget ones. Actually, maybe we do on the longbows. I can't remember. There's also a seed variant. So 16 penetration, 3,175 meter range. It seems like a lot. And then 55% accuracy. Moving on to the air tab. We're starting off with the AV-8B Harrier 2. This comes with Zuni rockets and some sidewinders. I'm not sure that this is going to be particularly useful in the 4v4s and 10v10s, but in 1v1, rocket planes are a lot more active because there's less density of anti-air, and you can use them to continually suppress enemy air defense. But yeah, looks cool. Very nice model. I love the way they look, that's for sure. Then we got the Harrier with bombs. Certainly more useful. 454 kilogram bombs as well. They're not anything to shy away from. Pretty solid aircraft with those AIM-9s ready to go. Then there's a bomber variant with 12 227 kilogram bombs, which is great for clearing out areas of infantry, but not going to be doing too much damage to vehicles. So definitely preferring the bigger bombs. And there's also thermobaric bombs. So 6 230 kilogram thermobaric bombs. Not too bad. Then we have the Intruder. So 8 340 kilogram napalm bombs. Cool to see the Intruder joining us. I think the Prowler was already in the game, and the Intruder's now joining us, but regardless, napalm not going to be too useful unless they've changed the way it works. There is the Intruder with 2 anti-radar missiles. I'm surprised it only gets 2. 20 penetration, 4,400 meter range. Decent speed though, 1,025 km/h speed with 40% ECM. That seems pretty fast. The napalm one only has 20% ECM. And then you've got an A6E SWIP with AT, so air-to-ground Maverick missile, semi-active, 30 penetration at 4,075 meter range, 50% accuracy. Pretty decent range on that for sure. And decent speed with decent ECM, so that's going to be kind of a nasty AT weapon. Then we got the Tomcats. Yes, looking lovely. These are the first of the variants with this 4 Sparrows, and 2 AIM-9s. The Sparrows there sitting underneath. I'm not sure if the Sparrows actually ever sat there. I don't know, I guess maybe they did. But I always thought the Phoenixes went underneath and then the Sparrows went like on the pylons. Regardless, 4 Sparrows, 2 AIM-9s, 255 points, 30% ECM, 1,325 km/h speed. I'm sure there's people well more qualified than I am to comment on where those weapons should be. Speaking of Phoenixes though, here's the 300.1 with 4 Phoenixes, which are sat nice and cozy underneath there. And then you got the Sparrows under the wings with the AIM-9 there as well. There you go. So these are 12,000 kilometer range with 8 HE, 40% accuracy. Pretty solid missiles, kind of matching the long-range missiles of the MiG-31s in terms of stats at least. But yeah, 30% ECM. I mean, 300 points is kind of expensive, but they are definitely going to be helping rule the skies in those big team games. Let's put together a quick deck. So we'll start off in the logistics. We'll definitely have to take some of the Lav Ls. We'll take one of the big boy cargoes. I think I'll bring some helicopters as well, and then we'll run in with the Humvees. For the infantry tab, definitely bring in these, so we'll pop them in. I think we have to bring in some leaders. So I'm going to bring in those with the helicopters. I think that's going to be quite useful. Then I definitely want to try the assault men with the s'mores. So we'll bring those in half tracks, or sorry, not half tracks, Amtracks. We'll do probably more rifleman laws. There's a lot of cards of those. You've got 6 cards of those if you want them. I might bring in some engineers. We're definitely going to bring in loads of TOW 2s. And I'm tempted to bring in this leader as well for something that's a bit more chunky. So I would use the big chunky squad for contested sectors and then this for sort of backline sectors and early game. Kind of missing out maybe on having the grenade launcher there, but I think having all those TOW 2s is super important. For this, we're going to go for 81 mm mortar, and then I think I'm just going to go and rip out the 155 mils. In reality, I think maybe just a couple of these would be fine, actually. It would be fun to mess around with these guns, though. Yeah, I'm going to put them in for now. I might switch it up if we need more space. So we're definitely bringing in these guys. We'll bring in the tank commander. We'll bring in some of those Humvee TOWs. And then these, of course. Brilliant. I might even double vet those. For recon, definitely bringing in these 2. I'll bring in some of these with the Lavs. I think the Lavs are actually super important here, so bring those. I'll put that in because it's fun to try out. And then what else would I want? Force recon with rockets? Sure. And then Stingers plus double Eyehawk, which we're going to upvet. For the heli tab, we'll try the seed ones, we'll try the AA ones, we'll try the AT. And then air tab, we're looking at Tomcats for sure. And then I want to try the AT plane. Do I want seed as well? Probably. Yeah, I think I've got to do it here. So we go for these. And then air tab will take the seed. Seed would be more important if we were going to be using more Harriers. Maybe I don't have to fill out this tab as much. I'm not sure. I think this is fine. There's a lot of stuff in this division that you want to take. And it seems like activation points are a little bit tight, actually. That's why I always like to put together a deck at the end to see kind of how the deck feels. But overall, if we jump out and we load it up, we can see how it's balanced. And I would say it's actually relatively well balanced. Other than the tank tab being a bit light, you're very reliant on HGMs in this deck, because your actual infantry AT is mostly M72 laws. So whilst you do have some AT4s available, I feel like heavy tanks are actually going to be quite difficult to deal with over time. You're going to run out of resources to deal with them. So that's one thing I think this division is going to be a bit worried about. But early on, I think it's going to be a super strong 1v1 division. And I think it's also going to be pretty fun to play in 10v10. So I'm looking forward to having a go with it. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed this look at the 2nd Marine Division. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of the division in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.